Hi, I'm Matt Shoemaker from the Live American History blog, and today I wanted to talk about building a road that students could. Where we're going, we don't need roads. Oh, come on. Doc Brown, Back to the Future, greatest movie trilogy of all time. Who are you? It's me, you, from the future. How far in the future? I don't know, like 10 minutes, maybe? It's quantum stuff. It's difficult. Yeah. Today we're going to look at working backwards in history to help students think critically and solve a historical problem. Welcome to OER Week, Day 4. So in this vlog, I wanted to share a little bit about an activity that I did this year when we were talking about Jamestown, in which students worked backwards to solve a historical problem. It was sometime last year or a little over a year ago. I was reading an article online about a professor who had taught his class in reverse. So he ended with Reconstruction, but instead of ending there, he actually started with the period right after the Civil War, and then he worked backwards, showing what events triggered that, what events triggered those, what events triggered those. From that, he was able to show students a better connection of historical events, that things do not just happen in a vacuum. So that spun around in the old brain pan a little bit, and I thought, why don't I just give this a try? I can't reorient my entire class to go backwards right now, but maybe I could start with just one unit, and if that's a success, I could work from there. I base a lot of this unit on Jane, the skull that was found at Jamestown, and they have determined that it was of a girl that they have nicknamed Jane. She was about 14 years old when she had arrived, and she had not been in Virginia for too long. The students love the disgusting bits of history, and instead of trying to fight that, which I do every year because we always get stuck on the starving time, there's just something about humans eating rats and boiled leather and each other that somehow hooks middle school kids in. So I decided to just give in and go with it this year, and we start by investigating Jane and what could have led to cannibalism. When students enter the room, I have caution, yellow caution tape up around the room. I have some file folders that have confidential stamped on top of those and taped over with red tape on the outside. And on the Promethean board, I have a photograph of Jane's skull and a close-up showing the gash marks inside the jaw. So immediately from the time the kids enter the room, they are curious about what is going on. Do you remember Back to the Future 2 when Doc and Marty come back from the future and nothing is as it should be? If none of that sounds familiar to you, then pay attention to this really, really quick Back to the Future primer. If that does sound familiar to you, skip the next about 30 seconds and join me then. All right, Back to the Future, 1985, Hill Valley, California. This kid, Marty, has this unlikely friendship with this old scientist named Doc Emmett Brown. Doc Emmett Brown calls Marty up one night and says, hey, you need to meet me at the Twin Pines Mall at 1 o'clock. So Marty goes, and he sees that Doc has built a time machine out of a DeLorean, and Marty goes back in time. Marty has to make sure that his parents get together, because if they don't, he will not exist. He eventually saves the day after almost having his mother fall in love with him. And we end up back in Hill Valley. Doc appears in a now flying DeLorean, and they end up in the year 2015. And in 2015, Marty has to make sure that his children do not get in trouble. But when they return to 1985, something has gone wrong because a change in events has happened and it has created an alternate 1985. They have to go back to 1955. And in 1955, they rectify the problem. The DeLorean is struck by lightning as Doc is trying to land, and Doc disappears. About that time, a Western Union man pulls up and says, "Are you Marty McFly?" And he opens the letter, and Marty reads it, and he says, "It's from the Doc. He's alive. He's in 1885, but he's alive." So that launches Back to the Future 3, where Doc is indeed alive and a blacksmith in Hill Valley, 1885. Marty meets up with the Doc from 1955 to send him back to save the Doc of 1885. Welcome back. All right, so just like in Back to the Future 2, when Doc and Marty accidentally create an alternate 1985, I wanted to see if I could do that with the kids as well. So we have the year of Jamestown's founding, 1607, and if we run this timeline out, and we can say that here is 1609 into the winter of 1610, so here we have the starving time. This is where we're going to concentrate. So what I thought was, what if we go back and we create an alternate set of events? What if we figure out what caused the problem, we pinpoint it, and then we create an alternate timeline so that 1609 and 1610 are not the starving times in Jamestown, but they're actually a time of productivity and success. If you go to the Day 4 resources, you will see a link to the lesson plan here and materials, and you will also see a shared Google Drive folder which will have what you need as well. So I have the materials listed here for you along with links. The introduction is what I do to hook the students when they come in, and then the dossier materials are what you will have in the folders that are marked confidential that the students are actually investigating in. This is the lesson plan, the research and the product creation, just a structure of how I do this in my room. And below are the primary sources, including focus questions. There are several from Jamestown. There are also secondary sources from a variety of individuals, pathologists and archaeologists. The Jamestown Rediscovery Project, the videos at YouTube are really helpful with this. The Jamestown Rediscovery website is really helpful with this. So I try to have a mix of visual and textual information just to catch as many students as I can. If you have missed any of the posts for OER Week, they are available in the description below. And I hope that you will join me tomorrow, where we will be having a revolutionary dinner party. Until next time, stay hungry.